No problem. Okay. Okay, this doesn't need to be here. This doesn't need to be here. Okay, hello. My name's Riley, and so we're just going to go over a couple of music things and then go into Reaper and kind of go over that. So we're going to start off looking at a little bit of music theory, very basic, just to kind of get the idea and kind of hear the terms. You don't really need any of this for what we're going to be doing specifically, but yeah, you're welcome to go further into music theory, and it'll help in wherever you can apply it. Yeah, so basically, notes are kind of the most simple unit of music, and it's just like a sound. And so, as you can see, a piano is just in a pattern of notes, and they have names according to letters, and then you have like sharps and flats. Very basic. There's chords, which is playing more than one note at the same time. And then here's the C major chord, C, E, and G. Everything I'm going to do is going to be in the key of C major, I think, which is like the most basic one. So we have scales. Speaking of keys, a scale is just a group of notes that work well together, and most of the time the chords within that fit that scale all have those notes in it. So here's the C major scale, and as you can see, it's a very simple, it's just literally all the white notes on a keyboard or a piano. And then we have like basic chord progressions. So you take a bunch of chords, play them in a sequence, and it sounds cool. This isn't, I'm not going to go like super deep into this, but you can kind of see the idea. There's like certain patterns of chords that work well together, and so you can just kind of mess with that on your own, and look further into that if you want to. But I don't want to do too much theory because it's kind of a lot, and it's not super essential to like actually start making sounds and making some music. So yeah, with that, we'll just hop right in. Oh wait, no, we won't. Get pranked. Okay, so the majority of what I'm going to be doing is going over Reaper. Very basically, Reaper's a digital audio workstation, or a DAW, or a DAW, whatever you want. And here's a list of other DAWs, DAWs that exist. I like Reaper, pretty accessible, and it does pretty much everything, if not more than, it does at least pretty much the same as ones on here, and can do more. Like LMS, it can do a little more, but it does just about the same as Ableton Live or Logic, and those are expensive, not as accessible. So Reaper's a good option if you're if you're getting into it and you want to see what's going on. And then the other thing we're going to be using are VSTs, or virtual studio technology, basically just a virtual instrument. So we'll be using a virtual piano and then a little drum machine. Very simple. And there are tons of free options for that kind of thing. So if you get Reaper, you start making things, you like it. If you just go on Google and type in free VST or free piano VST, free violin VST, there's tons. You can find tons of different sounds. And then we'll also do a little bit with like effects, adding effects onto like a piano or something, which same kind of thing with a VST, and you can Google that as well and just be like, whatever effect you want, a reverb, free reverb VST, and you'll find a ton. And so yeah, super simple. But yeah, so with that, we'll go into Reaper. And then here we go. This is Reaper. If you all want to open it up, you can kind of follow along. My basic idea, I think, is just going to be, I'm just going to go through, I'm going to make a very simple song. It's just going to be like 3 different instruments, basically, and kind of show you the process, kind of what I'm doing, what I'm thinking about, and then like the technical way of like how to record something, how to put the sounds in, that kind of thing. So you can kind of follow along if you want. I know it's kind of hard because like we can't all just have music like, you know, coming out of our speakers, but hopefully you'll get something out of this. And if you have any questions or want to say anything, like if you can speak up, it's all good. Definitely support some input. So yeah, so you can see here Reaper is laid out very, it's got this simple layout. It's got this top part, which is like the timeline. So if I hit play here, you'll see it's kind of playing through that timeline. And then this bottom half is the mixer, where you can kind of mess with some things. But I'll kind of go into that if I need to further. But for right now, I think we can go ahead and just add an instrument in. So everyone should have that folder set up, right? Everyone good with that? So basically, we're going to want to put an instrument in. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over on this side of the timeline, right click right here, insert virtual instrument, because we're going to insert one of our VSTs, which is just the virtual instrument. You can also go to like insert virtual instrument, doesn't really matter. But so insert virtual instrument on new track. It's going to come up with this menu, and it should just be, you should see under instruments, they should be there. Are they there for everybody? Everybody working? Okay. So I am going to add, oh, also I have a ton, but that's just because I have other ones. I'm going to add the drum machine. So I'm just going to select that and do add. Then it's going to come up with this little menu. If you want to add all this extra stuff, don't worry about any of that. There we go. So now we have inserted our virtual instrument. Now what do we do now? So we want to give it something to play. We want to make some sounds. So the way I'm going to do this is program some MIDI. So MIDI is just like musical instrument digital interface. Basically, the way you input sounds into a computer with a VST like this. So the way I'm going to do that is there's a couple ways you can do. On Reaper, you can do control, hold control, and then you're going to go on your track that you want to add and like drag. And then there we go. There's a little MIDI item. Or you can go to insert new MIDI item, and then there's a MIDI item, you know, so whatever you want to do. I'm just going to drag it out like this. So now here's the section that we can add sounds to on our drum machine track. So if we double click on that, comes up with this menu. This is our MIDI. This is basically that MIDI item expanded. So now we can see there's this keyboard corresponding to each one of these spaces, and there's this nice little grid that corresponds to up here the time. You know, so if we hit play, you'll see it going in both spots. It's just the expansion of that. So now, what I'm going to do, just for the sake of the drum machine, is change this menu to named notes. It's the same thing. This is just showing it as like a keyboard. This is just giving a number to each one, and you can kind of see that keyboard pattern with the shading here. Just for the sake of this particular instrument, it's a little easier to, at least I think, to find the sounds and just see them in this way, because with drums, you're not really looking for like particular notes. You're just looking for the different drums. And so this is automatically like assigned a certain drum to one of these keys. Is that coming out of, should that be coming out of this, not this speaker? Does that matter? I think it's just coming from my, you can hear it?
Yeah.
Everyone can hear it? All right, sounds good. So yeah, so I just dragged here, and then here's some sounds. I'm gonna turn it up a little. Okay. There we go. So let's find a sound we like. I'm just gonna add a simple kick drum, like that, and then we're just gonna build a little pattern for it. And you do that by it's got this little pencil tool. You just click and drag, or you can like double click and then like mess with it. But whatever you want to do. So I'll just kind of make something here. See what goes. There, and then if you hit play, you'll hear it play what you just did. All right, and you can see up here it's adding it onto the track. This is just that expansion of that track. Cool. So now we got a little kick drum going on. Now let's add another sound. This little snare maybe. All right, here. Oh, see, it didn't add exactly where I wanted. You can just click it and drag it. Very simple. Maybe I'll add one here. Oh, here. There we go. Maybe add one here. And there. Okay, now we can go back and listen to the whole thing. Very cool. We got something going on. Now I'm going to add one last part. There, nice little hi-hat sound, and I'll add that here and here. And then, if you want to select more than one, you just right-click and drag. Select those, and I can like copy, paste, use the arrow to kind of navigate here, and there's a couple ways you can just add that however you want. So yeah, now we have this. Very cool. And we'll just, oh yeah, one more thing. To add a little more character to our little drum beat we have here, we can, down here there's this menu, and as you can see at the bottom left here, it's associated with the velocity of these MIDI input notes. And so if I want to make it a little more interesting, add a little more character to the sound, I can control click on, I'm just going to do every other hi-hat here, and then I'm going to drag down the velocity maybe like halfway, and so you can see there's that color difference, and that kind of indicates where the velocity is. So now for all those little green ones, it'll hit it, the velocity will be a little smaller, and it adds a little different sound. Makes it a little more exciting. Everyone following along? Is we're going? Everyone get what's going on? Very cool. Okay, so there. Now we have this very simple drum beat going on, and we can close that. And we can close this, and there we go. Now you're going to notice it's going to keep going, or it's going to stop once it gets to the end of this track. And if we want to, as we're making something, you don't want it to just stop in the middle. Like, you don't want to listen to it, it stops, and then you can't. You got to keep hitting play over and over. If you go right up at the top here, underneath the numbers, indicating like the measure and the time, and just drag out this, you can highlight that section, and then come down here to our toggle repeat, or you can hit R. It's all the same. Click on that, and now it'll just loop that highlighted section. So that can be useful when you're building something. Yeah, cool. So now we have this instrument. Let's add, we're gonna do the same thing, just add virtual instrument on new track. And this time we will add that piano. And then, I got you. Let me just, so if you go up to the top here underneath where it shows the measure and like the time, you just drag underneath it. You'll have this highlighted part. Got that? Does that work? Yeah. Okay, so just highlight the part you want, and then right down here, this little circle is toggle repeat, and you can repeat it. Very cool. All right. And then we added this one. Everyone got that? See how we did that? Same exact process. Okay, here's a good moment. We can see that the instrument is closed. We can't mess with it, or we can't see what's going on with it. And all you got to do to open it is right here, this effects little icon here. Click on that. There we go. It opens it up, and we can see our piano. Okay, so now let's add a little piano part, and we're going to do this a little differently than the drum part, just to show a little more of what you can do. And the way I'm going to do that is go up to View, and then I'm going to go to Virtual MIDI Keyboard, and then that'll bring up this nice little keyboard for us. I'm going to expand it a little bit. And so you can see each one of these keys on the keyboard has a little number or letter on it according to your keyboard on your computer. So now I can use my keyboard to play the piano. Pretty cool. And so that's really useful. Another way to just input MIDI into a track. And then in Reaper, you want to make sure you just always have, like if I click over here, it's not going to work. Oh, okay, don't do that. That's not what we want. So you just got to make sure this virtual MIDI keyboard is selected. Okay, there's a good example of another thing to note. If we hit, which one did it? There. So this is playing a drum sound and the piano sound. And as you can see over here on these little volume indicators, it's doing both instruments. So if we want just this piano sound, we can just disarm it here. That's basically indicating that if we want to record something, everything that's armed is going to be recording. So we don't want the drum machine right now. So just disarm that. And then there we go. We have our piano. So, oh, what? Oh, okay, everything's fine.
You hit the E key on the drum track. You select that thing and hit the E again.
Oh, got it. Thank you.
It does that, and it's very disorienting.
Yes. Okay, cool. All right. Don't need this right now. Now I'm going to add a little keyboard part. And say we don't have. Okay, here's another thing. We can mute individual tracks, or we can solo them if we want to hear it by itself. So solo. There. Now it's only going to play the drum, even if we had something here. And then if you mute it, then it's going to mute it, and it's only going to play everything but that. So say we didn't have this drum beat to kind of keep us in line or whatever. We can add a metronome that'll basically just count the 4 beats in a measure for us, and that's right up here. Just enable that, and now we have a little click. Everyone hear that? Can anyone hear that? Is it working? Yeah, I don't know. It is? Yeah. All right. I don't know. I mean, oh wait, can I just change it here? Is that gonna work?
It is going back to way out. That's up on that road.
What?
Way out.
What?
Preference-wise, audio.
Oh yeah.
Here?
Yeah, preferences. But on device, yeah, audio system.
Oh. Oh. So this?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh no, don't do that. Hey!
Oh.
Hey! There we go. Very cool. Sorry about that. Okay, cool. Okay. So there's the metronome. Very cool. And it'll keep playing. And so just to demonstrate that, I'm just going to record it with the metronome. And so I have this armed, indicating I want to record that. Now all I got to do is hit this record button. And then as you can see, it's recording. And if I hit a note, okay, not. See, you got to remember to keep this selected. There we go. And it's recording those notes. So I'm just going to add a little something like that. And all I got to do is hit spacebar or whatever to stop the recording, and then just like save all. Why?
Because you recorded it in a loop, it recorded all of them.
Yeah, but shouldn't they come up in like individual?
I think it's because there's so many, you just decided to stop. Try making the track smaller if you're gonna keep that in there.
Okay, yeah, I'll just do it again. Okay, very fun. It's always fun to troubleshoot little things. Okay, I'm gonna do it again. Also, I noticed maybe it's a little too fast. Maybe, whatever this is the video game development club. So maybe whatever game we're making, you don't want to be. You want the tone of your music to match the tone of whatever game you're playing, whatever's going on. So maybe it's a little too fast. Maybe this is a little too high energy for whatever we're doing in our game. You can come down here to the bottom right. There's this little BPM and beats per minute, and you can change that to match whatever you want. So I'm going to go down a little bit, go to 100. Why not? Now it's a little slower. So I'm just going to record that piano again. Oh, okay. Have this selected. There. Got that recorded. Save all, and then, yeah, I can just close that. Yeah, so here's that, where it records like multiple takes. And you can just right click, and then I think it is take. Yes, there it is. Very cool, thank you. And there you go, now I have that one. And if we double click on this, it brings up that MIDI menu. Just like with the drums. Here's the drum one. Same exact thing, only this time we just used our keyboard to record it, and it put it in here. You can see, like here, it's not really, they're not played together because I can't perfectly time it, and there's a little bit of a latency. So these aren't perfectly on the beat and match the metronome. So all I got to do here is you can select everything, right click and drag, go to this little Q up here to quantize. You click on that, and you can see already they kind of snap to one of those lines to match the beat. And then you can go in and like mess with all this. Like you can say, oh, every eighth. You can divide it into like each beat into eighths, and go to the closest division that way. You know what I mean. And you can get as specific as you want. You can even go like to 1, and then it's like just okay. Don't do that. Yeah, so you can get as specific as you want. You can go in and mess with all this. I think default it's on use grid. I don't know if that's how it shows up for anybody, but I mean you can do that as well. Mess with it. I don't know. Don't really need to go into much detail with this. As a lot of things I'm going over, it's just like I'm just going to do something very basic, and then you can look into it further. Okay, so there. So now that's quantized, and if we want, we can extend these notes out a little more, just so they fill up the whole space. Is everyone following along? Is this enjoyable? Is this okay? Are we doing good? All right. And then there we go. So now, if we turn this back on by unmuting it, we have this nice little thing going on. Very fun. So now I'm just gonna add another track, and we're gonna make like a little melody, like a little lead part for our song. So we're gonna insert the virtual instrument, and we'll just do the piano again. Cool. There we go. And you can see it inserted here. We can like drag these around if we want, put them wherever we want, doesn't matter. And so this one, I'm going to go back and do the same thing we did with the drums to kind of program the MIDI that way, and you can kind of see programming it that way with like a piano like this. So I'll just control, click. Okay, why?
You've got like a track selected. When you do control, it'll add more of that. So you just have to click off of whatever you had when you fix any point.
What do I have? There, okay. Very cool. Yeah, so then we'll double click on that one that we just made, and now we have the MIDI map open again. Is this everybody good? Any questions? Like, it's all good. We're good? Okay. So now I'm gonna go to this view so we can kind of match the piano here. And then another cool thing, if you want to do, you can open up the virtual MIDI keyboard as well. Have that over to the side, and then we can hit play, and then we can kind of select this and just kind of play around. Why is it not? What? Is it? Oh. No. Where did the sound go? No, not what I meant. What?
I think it's just sending really quiet notes, but I don't know why.
Okay, so in this case, we can kind of look at one of the this mixer down here, and you can see that each one of these is like corresponding to one of these tracks, one of these instruments. You can see right here we have this volume, and we can use this to hopefully increase the volume. Okay, yeah, you can barely. It's in there.
I think it's just the piano, the keyboard is sending like really low velocity notes.
Why? Well, regardless, we can still do it this way. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's just use the same technique, same method as doing that drum machine, and we'll just add like a little lead part melody to this. So we can kind of have that playing, and scroll up here. So let's just start dragging something in. Something like that. Just like that. And I'm selecting only like the light color notes, like these white notes, just because I'm keeping everything in that C major scale, and they all kind of work together that way. I did the same thing with those chords. I just played notes that fit that scale, just all white, the white notes on the piano. But yeah, so if you just mess with this, this wasn't quite where I wanted it. Drag that. Maybe like that. Let's see how that. Maybe something like that. Let's see what that sounds like. There, that works. And so now we can close that, and now we have these 3 different tracks that are different instruments, and now you can kind of see where you can start to build something really cool. And yeah, very cool. Yeah, so that is really the majority of what you're doing when you're composing any kind of music for a game or for anything. And that's like the bare minimum, very basic. And you can just expand on that. You can add more instruments. Go online, look up different free VSTs for whatever instrument you want, and just add them in the same way. Do the same thing, and you can just, and that's really all you need to do. So I hope so far it's very simple. You can kind of see what's going on, and you can kind of see how you can do that on your own pretty easily. And so now I'm going to add. We're going to do another fun thing, and we'll do it to this piano part. We're going to add an effect on it, which is just another way to manipulate that sound to make it a little more interesting, so we just don't have a plain piano. And the way I'm going to do that is just click on this little effects here. It's going to open up the instrument, and then over here you can see we have this option to add. So we can add right here is the brand Kakos right here. Click on that, and then Reaper's cool because it comes with a bunch of pre-loaded effects you can add on things. So all these are just come with Reaper. Very cool. And you can see these are all VSTs, so you can go online, look up free ones. Very cool. Add whatever you want. So one that I was messing with the other day is this resynth here. Let's just click on that and add. And it'll come up here, and then here are our resynth options. So you can see here, this is the instrument. And then here you can see the effect that we've added onto it. So now, it sounds a little different. And you can just go through, and I'll demonstrate the soloing here. Click that, and that'll only play this. So as we kind of mess with that, you'll be able to hear what this does a little more. Just start messing with things. There we go. You can just start messing with all these little knobs, these little sliders, and now I've come up with a sound that's a little different, a little more interesting. Okay, yep, and it does that sometimes, but that's fine. So yeah, so there we go. We got the nice little effect on there. We can add everything back in. And there's pretty basic start to a nice little song. Let's see, what else can we do? Yeah, we can start to arrange it a little bit, make like an intro and then like a main part, and all you got to do for that is very easily you can just drag things around. I know there's this shortcut you can do Control D and then it'll add another one, like duplicate onto the end, or you can just like Control C and then Control V and whatever.
You can also like drag on the side of a thing.
Yeah, and then it'll just loop whatever.
Yeah, that'll make this more.
No, not that. So there, you can see that little gray marker indicating like the looping start of it, and you can just keep going. Just drag it out as long as you want. So that's cool. So yeah, maybe we'll have these piano chords come in first, and then those will like fill in. Ooh. Oh no, this needs to go all the way. Fill in like that, and then maybe we'll have this come in here, this lead part, and then we'll use that. Yeah, there we go. So now if we play it from the start, and make sure to disarm this repeat so that it won't loop back at the end of this. Maybe turn off the metronome. There you go. We're getting somewhere. Very cool. Yeah, so now at this point, you've kind of seen the basics on how to add sounds, how to manipulate some sounds with some effects. And now you can just use that basic knowledge, just keep messing with it, add more to it. Maybe we want to go in here, and the second time around, we can mess with this, and maybe it'll come up. Oh, okay, all right. Resynth, that effect we added on it, it's kind of weird sometimes, so that's why that's kind of happening. Not a big deal. So yeah, we just changed the second one, so now it's a little different, add a little variation, make it a little more interesting. And then maybe we want to make the drums come in halfway here. We can just drag from the end. Maybe we want to make them like fade in. You can drag from the top here to fade in, or you can drag from the end to like fade out. There's just lots of different little things you can do. And then there's that little fade in. So yeah, any questions? Have any concerns? Yeah, what's up?
How would you hook up like a MIDI instrument, like an actual MIDI keyboard?
Yeah, okay. You can do that. So you go to your preferences, and then MIDI devices. And I think they'll just come up here if you have it plugged into your computer. This is my interface where I can hook up a keyboard or whatever, or I can hook up like a guitar or a microphone or something. So there's mine that I've had plugged in. So that comes up. So it should come up just like that, and then you can arm that, and then it should just automatically be able to use the input from your MIDI controller just for any instrument when you like select it and stuff. Yeah, that's. Oh, let's just because. So file, save, project, and then if it's your first time, you'll have to select like a place to save them, and then that's where they'll be. And then if you want to take your finished song and render it, you just click render here, file render, and then you can pick your bounds entire project, so it'll do the whole thing. You can do time selection, selected regions, whatever you want to do. But entire project is typically when you're completely done, that's probably what you'll do. And then you just browse here, browse for directory, and you'll pick a location, and then you can mess with like what format you want depending on whatever you're doing with it. And then yeah, you just render the file, and then it'll send there. Very simple. That's that. So yeah, that's really everything. Well, okay, that's everything you need to start. You can right click, add new track, and now this track is different than, as you can see. So those three are MIDI, and now we have this audio track. So it's recording, and we can arm that. No, okay. This might be a bad idea because there's, you know what I mean. Okay, so you can. Okay, let me. All right, calm down. Okay, so yeah, so you can record audio too, and just the same process. Arm it, and then click here, and it'll record, and then you can do whatever you want, put audio in it, and you get a lot of. And so, and you can mess with that too. That's another level, another way to input sounds. Very cool. I think that's everything as far as Reaper that I wanted to really go into. I hope that was helpful. I hope it's at least shows you how simple it is to do it. So hopefully you all, even if you couldn't follow along or get everything that I'm saying, I mean, this is recorded, so you can always go back. But hopefully it shows how it's very simple. Anyone can do it. You can make music for your game. Very basic. Very cool. And so I kind of want to wrap up with just saying some overall ideas about making music for a game or whatever you're making music for. But specifically for games, you want to think like, what kind of game is it? And you want to try to, when you're making music, make it match the tone of the game. So if it's scary, you might want some more dissonance, some more sounds that you would hear in a scary game. And you can easily, if you don't know any of like the technical music terms or whatever, just look up a video on how to make scary video game music, and there's tons of ideas. They'll explain like what makes a sound scary or whatever. And if your game is super action packed and very intense, maybe you can increase your beats per minute here, increase your tempo, make it a little more high energy. There's one way you can kind of manipulate your song to match the tone of the game. Yeah, so keep in mind what you're trying to accomplish with the music. You want to use the music to enhance your game, so take that into consideration. And then lastly, really just to bring it all home here, like, don't be afraid to just look up everything. Just if you don't know, if you want to learn like what something does, like if you are here, you want to add one of these effects or whatever, and you just see one, like what is, okay, I kind of know what that would do. What does, okay, whatever. Find one that sounds fun, and then just look up what does that do. Look it up. There'll be tons of resources on it, and you can look up Reaper tutorials to go even deeper into like all these different effects, like what each one of these knobs does. What, you know, just don't be afraid to look things up. Everything that I've ever learned from in a DAW like this, and then the one I use, the majority of the time, Ableton, I learned everything from just looking it up, watching tutorials. There are a ton of resources. It's very, lots of ways to go about that. And then also, don't be afraid to ask questions, like in the Discord and stuff. There's the music assist role, so you can add music assist. And I'm one of those, so it'll ping me. I think you're also one, yep. So Ben will get pinged too, and we can always help. And I'm very open to helping if anyone needs any help or wants any input. If you just want to send me one of your songs for your game and ask for suggestions or whatever, you can do that. But don't be afraid to look things up. There's a lot it can do, so sometimes it can be pretty daunting and a lot of just because there's just so much happening. But you just keep doing it, because this is very simple. Anyone can do this, so as long as you can start here and then expand on it, you can make a very cool soundtrack to your game. And so with that, does anyone have any questions, any general concerns about anything? What's up?
So like, you mentioned you use Ableton a lot. How much of this stuff transfers from like Reaper to Ableton?
So for me, I found that it's very, very straightforward. Very like it didn't take me long to learn Reaper because I've used Ableton. Ableton's the same format where it's like the timeline here, and then you got like this mixer menu, and then like FL Studio as well is also very similar layout to this. It's all pretty much every DAW uses that same method of just like tracks, and then you arm the tracks, and then record the same way. Everything uses this MIDI mapping. Everything uses that, and then yeah. So very, although the layout's different, and like to get to the effects or whatever, you know, is a little different on Ableton. There's like a menu, and you like pick an effect, and then you drag it onto the track. Here, you like pick the track and then pick the effect. So there's little differences like that, but the same idea is universal for pretty much every DAW. So it's not hard to go from one to another once you figure out like where everything is. Because if you know the process of putting the instruments, adding the effects, whatever, just learning how to do that process and different things is the only learning curve, really. But yeah. So that's pretty much all I got. I hope that was helpful. If anything, you can just watch it again, and or if you can just copy everything I have, then you'll at least have something, and then you can just change the notes, and now you have a completely new thing. But yeah, let's listen to it again just for fun. I'm just gonna delete that. Okay, no, stop, no, 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 no. Why? No, go. There. Stop. Okay. Yeah, very fun. So you know you can kind of see how that maybe would become like a menu if you add a little more to it, made it a little, you know, mess with it a little more. You can kind of see how that can already seems to be something you can incorporate into a game. So I know it might feel like a lot, but like not very hard. Just keep messing with it, and there you go. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Yay.